Hello, everyone. Let's talk about Roland Emmerich's latest disaster movie, Moonfall. The surface level details of this premise are pretty simple. The moon has fallen out of orbit, and of course, that is hugely problematic for Earth. However, there is a wrinkle that's mentioned in the trailer by Halle Berry's character that I think is pretty key to setting Moonfall apart from other similar disaster movie scenarios, and it's that this situation involves an intelligent entity. And yes, there is more to it than that, but I'm not going any further because no spoilers here in this review. Warning up top for the review I'm about to give Moonfall. I'm gonna be a little all over the place on this one. There are things about the movie that I loved, elements that didn't work for me at all, and then a whole bunch of things that I think played well enough, but only because I find that there's an inherent appeal in disaster movies. Maybe let's get the negatives out of the way first. There are so many disaster movie cliches in Moonfall, and yes, I know I said Moonfall benefits from the appeal of these types of stories, but some of those all too familiar beats they felt kind of lazy to me, and they took me out of the movie because of it. For example, there's a kid telling his mother he's not coming home, is he, when dad isn't there? And even certain visuals felt like they could have been lifted from another movie where, a certain level of destruction should be wild and mind-blowing, but instead it feels like old news because we've seen it before, and we've probably seen it in another Roland Emmerich movie. Sticking with the issues I had with some of the visuals here, some shots just really don't look great. And I think it's particularly the ones with, live action human beings standing on a green screen environment where digital backdrops are inserted after the fact. And this happens a lot in Moonfall. They just don't blend together well, and they're extremely noticeable. But the full VFX imagery often looks pretty good. There are a couple of moments in the movie where they play with gravity on Earth that I just thought looked phenomenal, and also those were the types of ideas that really worked best for me in the film because it's using the pillars of a disaster movie, but in an exciting new way. But back to the negatives right now. The characters are, they're a little weak across the board. This is another thing that I think they just get away with in this movie, and I think it happens because Emmerich assembled an exceptional ensemble for this film, but, the characters in Moonfall just don't feel real to me, not like the characters in Independence Day did, and maybe that's because Moonfall overall doesn't feel, dare I say, as grounded, and admittedly that might have something to do with how old I was when I first saw Independence Day, but then again, I still think that same quality is true even when I rewatch it today so many years later. There's a texture and an earnestness to the performances in that movie that I think makes the story feel as real as it could feel, and also quite dangerous too. Moonfall does manage to build suspense, but it's not done in a way where, I'm thinking about what it might be like if the scenario really happened. And meanwhile, I still wake up and look out my window every morning and, sometimes wonder what it would be like if I saw an alien spaceship hovering above a big city. More on the characters in Moonfall specifically now, though. It's Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry, so yes, they do very much get away with the roles that they're given, but they're just thin. I think I took more of an issue with some of the supporting characters who kind of feel like they were just thrown into the movie to give it an Earthbound storyline. I think Charlie Plummer is hands down one of the best young actors out there. I've been saying that since 2015's King Jack, but other than the sincerity he adds to the character through his own performance, he's mainly there as a device to steer the story in certain directions and to be an excuse to have a car chase scene in the film. And that's a problem a lot of the supporting characters suffer from in Moonfall. They feel like they're just there to tick boxes or just to make sure that a storyline can get from one place to another. And yeah, I do know that's necessary to an extent, but I don't think it should ever be a character's primary purpose, or maybe at least that shouldn't be as obvious as it feels here. Oh, so many negatives there, but I swear there are things I liked. In particular, John Bradley. He just stole Moonfall for me. He really just got the movie. He knew exactly how to deliver a character that both plays into the bonkers nature of this story and have fun with it, but while making him feel like a real person with passions and something to lose. And because of that, he wound up being the beating heart of this movie for me and just played a pivotal role in keeping the whole thing together and just keeping me engaged and invested. And now again, I really liked what Emmerich did applying gravity changes to the traditional disaster movie set piece. Moonfall, I think, excels most when it takes the formula and adds something new to it. And that right there is a big reason why I liked the absolutely ridiculous plot of this movie. Admittedly, going in, part of me did want a more straightforward, the moon is out of orbit and will hit Earth type of scenario, something to make me wonder, what if, even after the movie is over? This is not that, though, and it wound up growing on me as I watched more of the film. I'm not going to give away the specifics of what exactly is happening here, but I found the conspiracy theory of it all very interesting and pretty effective, probably because it's heavily tied to John Bradley's character, who clearly I liked quite a bit. But the point being, minus a very clunky exposition dump, it was kind of fun to see such a different type of story unfold. All right, I'm giving Moonfall 2.5 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimovie scale. Admittedly, I can't give a broad I recommend it or I don't to you right now, but I'll tell you this is no Independence Day or Day After Tomorrow for me. It does feel like a very silly, overly glossy, by-the-numbers disaster movie, but then it has John Bradley and that conspiracy theory to make it stand out, I think, just enough. So for me, I think I'm leaning towards just positive on Moonfall, but I think there are a slew of very fair criticisms of this one. It could have been way better, and I don't think it'll scratch that disaster movie itch for everyone out there. I'm sorry if that's not super helpful, but I think this is one of those cases where I have to hope that everything that I just told you offers some clarity on whether or not Moonfall could be for you. I just don't think it's gonna be for everyone. All right, leaving you right there on Moonfall. If you check out the movie in theaters this weekend, make sure to hit that comment section below and tell me what you think about it. I always love knowing what you guys think as well. Before I let you go, we have a supersized Patreon shout-out section right now because someone might be a little behind. Big thanks are going out to Travis, Avery, Craig, Paul, Andrew, Rick, Christy, Andrew, Tommy, MK Songbird, John Gregory, and Wessel. Thank you guys so much. There's a reason that I had to do that supersized thank you just now. It's because really kind, supportive, generous folks like yourselves keep coming back to support what I do over here. And man, it means the world to me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you. Big thanks to everybody out there for watching this review. You know what to do. Like and share it before you leave. And I'll see you soon with more of them.